Is everyone dead in Bloodborne, or is it just a cycle? What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here. Welcome back to Soulsborne Academy. Don't mind the hunter in the corner. They're just here for your protection. Today, I have a little bit of a lore and theory crafting video for you guys on why I think that everyone is dead in Bloodborne, but with a twist. There is a cycle that goes through with Bloodborne, and I saw this with Lady Maria and the umbilical cords, primarily. Lady Maria, first of all, the Astral Clockwork Tower, is one of the first hunters, and she's the hunter that you meet in The Hunter's Nightmare, where she basically tries to wake you up. She wants you to go home. She wants you to escape the Hunter's Nightmare, whether it's because she doesn't want the same blood on your hands that she had on hers, selfish reasons, she doesn't want to feel guilt anymore. I'm not sure. Because keep in mind, she's dead. The Hunter's Nightmare, when you die in the real world, whatever the real world is for them, you are in the Hunter's Nightmare in the form that you died in. So she's literally trying to shove us away, push us away, get us out of the Hunter's Nightmare. She even uses blood weapons in order to do that, which she absolutely hated. Now, another part to this is the umbilical cords. The umbilical cords serve a very crucial purpose if you want to get the true ending of the game. You get 3 umbilical cords, you gobble them up, so tasty, lots of protein. Moon Presence is the true final boss of Bloodborne. You fight that, you become another Moon Presence that another hunter might have to fight, get their own 3 umbilical cords. The cycle continues. I find it kind of interesting how the doll version of Lady Maria will hold the kind of squid Moon Presence version of you that is just born into this universe up. And it is a connection between Moon Presence and Lady Maria. That's why I kind of think everyone is dead in Bloodborne, but there's also this cycle that happens of where you have creation and birth, destruction, creation, birth, and destruction. And it goes over and over and over again. And also it's really fascinating too that Moon Presence and Lady Maria, they are both connected. Now, for those of you who are Bloodborne fans, you all know that the doll was made in Lady Maria's image. This was done by Moon Presence at the request of Gehrman. So what Lady Maria became and her connection to Moon Presence and the rebirth of Moon Presence, that's why it's, it's really special. That's why I found it really interesting when I see her holding a baby Moon Presence. And I feel that it's kind of coming full circle to a degree, which is one of the reasons why a Bloodborne 2 I don't think really should happen. I could make a video on why I don't think it should happen, but that's another thing entirely. It's one of the things of where it's exciting to see that a story like this can come full circle. What's also interesting about Lady Maria and the way that she kind of shoves the player away back into like the waking world, if you will, is that she's the only character in the game to have an animation of where she's kind of whispering something into the player's ear. Like, I don't know what she's whispering, but it would be so cool to find out. Miyazaki, I need you to tell us what she's whispering in our dear hunter's ear. I would love to know that. But I think it's really interesting because when you look at the entirety of Bloodborne, you could look at it from one perspective of, yes, everyone is dead, even in the hunter's dream. You have the hunter's dream of the Hunter's Nightmare DLC of where it's abandoned. You have that doll in that same hunter's dream in the Hunter's Nightmare. And you also have all of these different aspects of the Hunter's Nightmare that give more light, as if it were to break apart an illusion. So maybe the Hunter's Nightmare is what the reality is, and the Hunter's dream is the illusion, is this fabricated world to pretend that everything is safe, much like Anor Londo when Guinevere was making it light. All of the characters and NPCs that you meet are looking for an absolution of sorts. They're looking for that final resting place. They're looking for somewhere to go. It's like they're always going somewhere, but they can never quite get to it. And I find it absolutely fascinating because that's also why I think everyone is dead in Bloodborne, because you have these moments where NPCs just want a reprieve from where they are. They're stuck in this loop, this kind of recording that goes over and over and over again. It's kind of like, it's the same exact thing whenever you're seeing the amygdala bringing you to different spots in the game, that you have to see it through to the end. And I see that it's so fascinating that all of these things, up until the point that you fight Moon Presence, you are there trying to decipher what every character is telling you what every character is there trying to, like, they're trying to almost impart a wisdom on you. Even if it's Patches as a spider, he's trying to impart some sort of wisdom onto the player. Because I find it quite fascinating. We only saw like a glimpse, a waking up of the hunter into what the real world is. We saw it very calm and somewhat serene going into like an early morning dawn type situation. We didn't really see any calamity or anything like that. It looked rather dead, to be quite honest, you know. It's fascinating too, because when you enter into the game for the first time, you have all of this commotion of different people that you have to save and bring over to the church. And I find it really funny where no one thinks to trust the hunter who's doing what a hunter is supposed to do. And in the end, they all die. There are some of them that if, you know, you convince them enough, you'll be able to bring them over to the church to be able to, you know, they'll be safe there and everything. But even then, at a certain point, you can't save them all. You can't. It's impossible. And that's why I think that literally everyone is dead in this game, because no matter what you do, you can't save anyone in the game besides yourself. And that's why there is a cycle to this game that continues over and over and over again. You can try to save them. It might not work. It might work for a little bit and then they die. So there's this constant notion to the game that whenever you're trying to do something positive, it gets met with this kind of brute force reality that strikes down. The reality isn't pretty in this game, but it is what it is. I find it really interesting too, because with every news cycle, there is always the possibility that a news cycle will bring about something better or something that changes an upcoming cycle for the better. I feel like that's in a way the only reason why I feel like, as a side note, that another Bloodborne could work, or a second Bloodborne game, because then you'd be going into a new cycle entirely. But besides that, a Bloodborne 2 would never work out, because the first one was so perfect in the way that it describes a cycle and life and death and rebirthing and kind of a phoenix being reborn, that I don't think a second one could really, could add to that in a way that would benefit the story any more than the story is already benefited. If that makes sense. I don't know. It's just my thought process on the whole thing, because if you have a Bloodborne 2, you're continuing on Gearman's cycle, right? You're continuing on what the Moon Presence does, on the cycle of birth and dying and rebirthing and all that kind of stuff. So I don't see a Bloodborne 2 adding really anything new to the mix, at least not now. But I feel as if, you know, if they're doing like something small, like an extended story on Lady Maria, or an extended story on the amygdala, or something on Canehurst, I feel like that could work in and of itself. Canehurst would be an amazing DLC to go through, where they can, you know, expand the story more on the Vile Bloods. But I don't know. I don't think right now a Bloodborne 2 could work. And I know I've said I've wanted a Bloodborne 2 before, but the more I thought about it, the more I really soaked those thoughts in. It doesn't seem logical to me. When Gearman kills you, that's the one thing that always had me very confused, because if everyone's dead, what waking world do we have? Because if everyone is dead within the universe of the game, what waking world is there for these characters? You have the Hunter's Nightmare, which is where everyone goes and you see the form that they died in. You see Lady Maria, you see Mikolash, you see the form that they died in, the form that they were at last. Because if you are a hunter, you are perpetually stuck in a dream. You are perpetually stuck in this loop. And if you die, that means that every single time that you are dying, Eileen killed you or someone killed you, you would go to the Hunter's Nightmare, wouldn't you? So saying, may you find your worth in the waking world, must refer then to the Hunter's Nightmare. Because if that is their waking world, then their waking world is a nightmare. It's another thought, just another thought to mull on, to think over. But you guys, that is it for today's video. If you all like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. May you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter. Stay stay casually nerdy, and I will see you all in the next video. Umbasa.